Hello and welcome to this special video. Today I will be doing something very different, a little cursed but very cute. You may have seen these guys before, if not this will be extra confusing, but today we will be making a Long Furby. I was basically peer pressured to make one by my friend who also loves these haunting little tubes. Here is her lovely boy named Beans. Also a big shout out to her for helping me with this project. So the first thing to do is come up with a concept. I definitely wanted something a little gothy and black. I wanted long fur, little caterpillar feet, horns, and big ears. Most importantly, I wanted her to have glowing eyes, which we will get to later. Now it's time to source a faceplate. Originally, I found this little guy at an antique store while on vacation and thought, wow, this must be fate. But I took him home and put batteries in it. Turns out he actually works, so I didn't have the heart to take him apart. So instead, I ordered a 3D printed one on Etsy. I will leave links below. And this worked out better anyway because I wanted a bigger faceplate than the original size. Next, it was time to find a pattern, since I will be making her from scratch. I will be using this one by Boots with the Furb, since that's what my friend used, and that username is fantastic. I did increase the size since I bought a bigger faceplate. I got this long black fur with a slight wave in it. Using the long fur is definitely tedious, but worth it to achieve the look I wanted. I tried to find the grain of the fur, but it kind of wanted to go diagonal, so that was a bit odd to work with. But now it's time to cut it into pieces. Now usually people cut the fur so it's facing down, but I wanted the fur to be going up for a poofy do. I'm using a white paint marker to mark on the black, but chalk would also work. Now I can start sewing the head. I started off taping the hair back to sew, but it was only slightly successful. Trimming the edges definitely helped more. I start with the back first, sewing the side panels onto the back strip. Alright, looking good, very fluffy. Now to do the front. Okay, I can put together her little head. It's important to do the front and back separate first so that it lines up for this step. And with the head done, it's time to move on to the ears. Now I did film all of this, but apparently it was lost to the void and I cannot find the footage anywhere. I did use animal headband ear tutorials, so if you look that up you can see what I did, especially the ones by Kinpatsu Cosplay and Into the Wood Studio. I will link them below. But basically I made a triangle with a flexible jewelry wire with the ends sticking out and filled it with masking tape. Next I glued in the black fur on one side and the white fur on the other side, making sure the fur flowing upwards. Once that dried, I bend the wires on the sides that will be on the inside, giving it the ear shape. Then that same side can be trimmed so that the long hair is only on the outside. I then repeated this for the second ear, just making sure to bend and trim the opposite side. I then poked the end wires through the seams of the sides of the head and twist them so that they stay in place. I ended up adding some hot glue to the base of the ears and covering them with fur so that they stuck up more and weren't as floppy. Once all that was done, here's what we have so far. As you can see, she will have a bendable spine for maximum posability. I also cut out the rest of her body fur. I'm doing a thin strip of upward-facing fur as a neck, and the rest of the body having downward-facing hair. I also cut a strip of short white fur for the belly. I used a really cheap fabric that I regret, you'll see. So the next thing to do is make these glowing eyes, my favorite part about this project. I ordered some reflective fabric and cut it out to match the eye chips that came with the faceplate. Okay, now to test it. Yes, just as planned. It showed up okay on the camera, but in person it's absolutely haunting. What's some scary eyes without fangs to go with them? I'm using a two-part epoxy sculpt called Aves. I stick some to the top of the mouth to give the teeth something to stick to. Then I very carefully press the points in and reshape them. I make sure to use water to smooth it out. I filmed me spraying the primer and the colors on the faceplate, but the footage got corrupted, so I don't know what kind of cursed energy is happening here. But basically I just used a Rustoleum primer, waited for that to dry, and then used some cheap spray paint for the black and white. I also lost the footage of the horns, of course, but they were a simple wire triangle like the ears, but with aluminum foil instead so I could balk them out, and then I used epoxy over it like I did for the teeth. Okay, so get this, I lost even more footage. I know, like how, I don't know. But basically I made all the little caterpillar feet out of an old black shirt. I cut out some fat triangles, sewed the edges, turned them inside out, and then stuffed them. So now that I have all my parts together, I sewed them with the sewing machine, which I am not the best at, so if you're looking for a tutorial for that, this ain't it. I cut a small hole and slipped the spine that I'd attached to the head with lots of glue and wire and fabric scraps. Of course, I lost that footage too. I am sorry. I start gluing down the faceplate to the fur with my E6000 craft glue. I trimmed down the long fur under it to give it a better hold. I also add her beard with the glue. Now I can hot glue in the eye material. also hot glue down the face more and attach the beard better. As for adding in the glass eye chips, I couldn't glue directly onto the reflective material or they wouldn't work. So I hung her upside down and glued in the very tops using a toothpick. I also added in some lashes with the same glue. I used that pair way too many times, so it was a good excuse to get new ones. We can't forget to give her a little black heart. I begin stuffing her with Poly-fil. Now, as I was stuffing, I noticed this cheap white fabric stretching a lot, so she's becoming a lot more barrel looking than I wanted. The legs were also sticking off the sides instead of inward. To remedy both these problems, my friend helped me pin up the sides so I could sew them in more. Pecan was very curious about her new roommate. Once I finally finished sewing that, it was time for the bottom, which was by far the hardest part for me and I had to give up filming it. Just know I did a questionable job, but it's all hidden by the fur. I did cut the fur to make it more manageable, as well as to give it a differentiating texture from the rest of the body. On to accessories. I have this very punk studded ribbon that I can make a harness with. I stitched it on for extra security. I'd use pliers to pull through some of the thicker areas. I had some extra studs left over which worked perfectly as earrings. Since they had pointy backs, I just pressed them in. I added this pretty black and red glitter nail polish to give her some pizzazz. I did about 3 coats and 1 clear, waiting for each to fully dry between. I add on a chain to complete the look. I also decided to add some white freckles to the horns to match the faceplate and help them stand out a little bit more. I also sewed on some ear bows for some cute to balance out the punk. And with that, she's finally complete. I name her Sassafras Nataz. She will undoubtedly outlive us all. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Make sure to boop that like button and subscribe for more projects. Guys, I'm editing this video and this keeps happening.